got to get it when it's little because it's going to take over. And I know these beautiful flowers here from our farm friends, Dick and Mary Bloom. They're forever trying to get those weeds out of the stuff so they can grow their asparagus and the rest. It grows like a weed. It's almost impossible to eradicate it. Well, that's the Spirit of Jesus, he says. Up from the grave he arose with a mighty triumph over his foes, not because he became a victorious warrior, but because the Jesus who was alive in the gospel is alive still now as we tell his story and we claim his vision and we act on it. You can't stomp out a mustard seed. All it does is drive it in the ground, and what happens? It takes root and comes right back up at you. Resurrection power in them little seeds. You can't rip up the bushes to clear the ground because it just scatters the seed far and wide. Once mustard seed has entered a field, tiny, humble, ordinary, yes, it's underfoot, it's ground cover, yes. But once it enters a field, it's coming back. It's going to spread. If it's alive, it's going to grow. Which brings us back to this little garden patch that we call First Congregation. Our little acre in Alpena. Old-fashioned, classic, mainline congregation with a fairly educated and active membership of 172 on our roster. About 1/3 of our membership on any given Sunday is in church here. And Jesus compares us, the kingdom of heaven, with a weed. How's that feel? Did you know you're working for a weed here? He said, had I known, I probably would have gone to a different church. All churches were weeds, says Jesus. We're not the noble cedar. We're not the biggest tree around. We're not a vineyard. We're not a field of grain like we considered last Sunday with that parable of the weeds and the wheat. We're simply simple mustard. Pungent as a spice, sharp as medicine, and as common as any old bush where birds can make their nest in its branches in safety. Mustard is not a crop of any distinction. There's no profit in harvesting our seeds. There's not much demand for mustard greens in our market. But like that 2-penny widow, or like that pinch of yeast, or that shake of salt, or that little lost lamb, or the crown of thorns, we belong to Jesus. And he notices what we do, and he calls us his own. And in my mind, that's more than enough. You're an A-class church. You're big in the eyes of God. And that's what counts. Amen.